grab that. Oh, this one's already up there. All right. So Joe and I decided to both delete the shows that we not delete them, but put them on private or on unlisted, just due to the fact of things that we wanted to, I guess, better present ourselves at. And I am not, like I strive for stoicism, but by no means am I perfect. I think fear is a big motivator for me. And, I believe that perfection is the enemy of progress. And that is also a huge deal for me. I still I almost find myself paralyzed. I know it's irrational, but it happens. And I'm not going to get into the issues on what I'm dealing with at the moment, but there are things that they paralyze me. And I think a lot of us are both paralyzed in fear, and we're talking to each other, not at each other. And I realize this about most dogs, like domesticated dogs. I found the ones that bite, on average, my belief is they're biting to protect themselves because they've been hurt. And on average, they don't want to get hurt again. This is not 100 percentile of the reasons. And the same thing with human hostility. It is fear of being hurt. Whether that's rational or not. And then there's also, I also see a bit of egotism and ego there. And they lash out because they don't want that ego hurt. And I'm seeing that really play out in this whole dynamic, this whole dynamic of whether it's vax, anti, the whole political dynamic, the whole cultural dynamic. We're seeing fear, anger, hostility, and it's certainly doesn't seem to be handled in the best way. And I'm guilty of it myself. I have, anger issues, and, I want to, when I hear or I read things filled with what I believe to be it's really hyperbolic, I want to lash out at it. And it's not the best thing, and it's somebody who is hyperbolic. Do you really want to even converse with somebody like that? Because they're not going to necessarily have logic, or they're not going to accept your logic. I think on average, in the most part. I don't know if I'm making any sense, Joe, but if you want to add into anything that I've been saying.
I really, if you gave maybe a specific example, you're kind of beating around the bush again. If you could just tie it together in a nifty little story.
Well, I think the one issue that gets me right now, that's in the public eye, is the CNN and the whole ivermectin thing.
Okay.
And it seems like, I guess nobody wants to, like they say, never apologize to the left, but I don't know if it's good to apologize to anybody, because sometimes when you apologize, because people have apologized to me, and then it doesn't sometimes help the situation, because you still feel a certain way. And I mean, a lot of times we're not very forgiving. when perhaps.
Is somebody not being I'm not sure what you're saying. You're mixing the ivermectin
Well,
story with saying you're sorry. I'm not sure what
well, I mean, the the reporters, the
Mhm.
reporters who reported on the CNN is more doubling down than admitting that they were wrong and apologizing.
I see.
And I don't really see that apologies really kind of work on average, or at least if you want to protect your ego, because a lot of times when you admit that you're wrong and you apologize, sometimes because I remember like people would apologize, they would apologize to me or they'd admit something to me, and part of me would still, like, I remember someone online admitted to gaslighting me, and it made me angry, because I feel that is something that abusers do. And the person said, well, I'm so biased that I'm not gonna have an honest conversation with you. And it's like it bothered me.
Mhm.
And I may have been able to change the person, but I was so angered by the fact that they were admitting abuse that it made me want to lash out. Like, I didn't like abuse, but I was like, I really kind of turned the screws on them, like that's really, that's really wrong, and that's what you
You know
know,
what though? What you're saying, I'm not sure what the hell you're saying because you've gone in like 100 directions. It sounds like you're mixing news stories with other stories, but I will say, I'm never out to hurt somebody. Um, it's never my goal. I do have various uh, encounters throughout the day, right? Whether you're at the store or on the computer or working, um, visiting relatives, whatever. And so you have like all these opportunities to do something positive and um, continue the thread and make things stronger, hopefully, and better. And every once in a while you come across roadblocks, barriers, and all you want to do is leave, um, you know, the bile and set it aside and get to the good stuff. And it's not always possible. Sometimes you got to trudge over the bumpy roads. You never know what the other person's going through and what you're going through. And sometimes it's a good combination. Sometimes it's a great one. And sometimes it's horrible. So I guess be ready at all times, right? For all circumstances and try to be assertive and leave the place in a better state than when you got there. Um, I have no idea if that
yeah. I mean,
reinforces what you're saying.
I guess like because I'm trying to kind of be as vague as possible and keep as much politics out of it and have it within the personal realm. But I do want to talk about the world and the way it's going right now. And I do feel at this point in time, we've developed a culture where two differing sides
Mm.
talk at each other and not to each other, and
From
definitely not with each other.
from my perspective, the problem is maybe sometimes a little uglier than what a lot of people are ready to accept and address, and that is that we've been lied to for a very long time about a lot of different things, bold-faced lied to. And are you party to that lie? Are you bearing false witness? Are you are you responsible for bringing that lie a step further and deeper into the culture where it doesn't belong? And from my part, it's hard, man. It's hard. It's hard because I see a lot of what I consider just straight up lies, and they're not easy to address, and there's a lot of um, you know situations where I stand to lose a friendship for maybe even bringing it up, and so it's man, talk about walking on eggshells. I don't like walking on eggshells ever, and I find myself walking on eggshells in a lot of facets of life. People are hooked on the lie, man. Hooked on the lie, and it's so big and it's so gigantic, and people want to. They can deny all they want, but it's frustrating, dude. It's frustrating. It is, it does get to me. It's not like I can't just go and say call bullshit on everything. I'll either get my ass kicked or killed or something. Um, so I'm respectful to every situation, and um, just try not to add further disgrace to an already disgraceful fucking system.
Well, human beings do have an ego. And a lot of times, if you're calling out bullshit or if you believe something is bullshit, you're going to meet resistance, even if you wrap that up in a bow.
So true. That ego can be a real toxic toy.
And I forget who said it, but ego is man's biggest narcotic. And we get wrapped up into our like I shit, man. I get wrapped up into my bullshit, my fantasies, and all the
Well,
rest.
yeah, I always use Napoleon's famous quote that history is a lie agreed upon.
Yeah, and
In ways that's true. It, I'm finding out.
that's in more ways than one, and even different interpretations of history is a lie agreed upon. I and people will protect that lie and that deception on all sides. Um, I've written things like just on here. I've written different things, whether it be on the conservative side. I forget what I've written on the conservative side, but I've been called names on that. And then just a couple of weeks ago, I said the Willie Lynch letter, that is a myth. That never. I mean, that has been proven to be without a reasonable doubt false. And I got hammered, and I got hammered personally. One of the guys actually went to my show page, and told me that I was so ugly I could only hope to date farm animals. He particularly mentioned a goat, and it was like, I don't think goats are allowed
Mm.
in my apartment. But I would love to have a petting zoo, not for sexual purposes, but I would love to have a nice petting zoo like goats and sheep if I could maintain them well. I wouldn't mind that because I like animals.
Get an alpaca. Those are great animals.
But I think having animals around and loving animals is also a way to release stress. Um, some people don't understand that. I mean, for me, uh, I I think I would do better with a dog. Just having one around, a loving dog, and even having a loving human being, I think is good to have around. But with human beings, there comes conflict,
Oh yeah.
and um, you know what? I just noticed that my knee my knee guards are in the background and on the chair. Apologize for that, folks.
Getting
But
down and dirty with the knee pads.
with the knee pads, yeah, yeah, and you know, I'm trying to control my anger and my fear on things that have to get done, and I
Maybe,
do a lot of things that I enjoy
I mean,
before I do things that I should be doing. I
there's
waste a hell of a lot of time.
there's a lot of reasons to be angry right now, and so it's so vital to use your network, use what you can. I've been offended for the last time by um, supposed friends who bellyache if I come to them with a problem that has an ounce of emotional thread to it. Um, I've been uh, I'm done with people saying, if you got a problem, go see a doctor. Um, it's like nobody wants to take responsibility for themselves. Nobody understands the concept of self governance. They all want to be a bitch to the man, and ain't gonna get it done in this gnarly system that is strategically and forcefully eliminating an entire socioeconomic class, the middle class being destroyed, dismantled every day. We're about to hit a new wave of inflation. They say 6%, the conservative Federal Reserve chairman people, 6% on the conservative end. I'm going to say it's probably going to be closer to another 10% on top of what we're already paying at the market. Who knows? It could even spin higher. I don't know. But this is a systematic takedown, and this financial crisis that we entered in on March 11th of 2020, from my perspective, 100% a financial reset, or who knows what, some sort of change, but that is what we're going through right now in my view. um, it's kind of the ushering in of a whole new um, one world government, and which I think has already been in place. It's just being revealed as we go along. So there's so many things that people are eyes are going to be opening up to these things. And Maxwell Jordan, I watched a couple of his shows about a month or two ago, and he said by mid October into September, October into November, mid October to November. So right in the window we're in right now, a lot of things will be revealed and come out. I'm not sure exactly how that's panning out for him and his prediction. I'd like to see some follow up by Mr. Maxwell Jordan. We should try to contact him. He does small podcasts all the time, and I think you'd find him incredibly interesting. I think I'm going to try to reach out to him today. You know who Maxwell Jordan is?
I believe he's the person who deals with stocks. Um, I think I could be wrong.
No. He's into he studies civilizations, governments, systems. Sometimes he's medical stuff. Sometimes I think he used to be kind of lumped in with maybe the conspiracy theorists, but so many of the things that he had been talking about have kind of been mainstreamed and accepted, and so I don't think he's I think he's moved beyond conspiracy theorist to more of a more sought after sort of you know speaker. But he's aging and he's getting up there in age. But if I can get him, I'm gonna get him for our show.
Well, we're getting close to that time, so I'm gonna end on this, Joe, and then you can respond. This will be my last statement before like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below. Right now, the biggest argument seems to be you know, wearing covering, get getting the jab. So there's between the anti-covering, the pro-covering, the pro-jab, and the anti-jab. And the belief is that this is the belief of the pro-jabbers, that the anti-jabbers are filling up our emergency rooms. People can't get their their selective surgeries. Whether it's a heart surgery, whether it's a knee surgery or a heart surgery,
Mhm.
stuff like that, because the anti-jabbers are not are being like they're being self-righteous, and the, they believe it's it's not good for them, the side effects or whatever. The problem is the anti-jabbers and the pro-jabbers are talking. Look, and that doesn't mean that they're going to convince one another, but there's a larger audience out there.
Mm-hmm.
Those who believe in the jab and those who don't believe in the jab.
Mm-hmm.
But and there may be consequences. I'm a person who says I don't know. I got the jab, got both of them.
Mm-hmm.
I might get a third jab, but
So no buyer's remorse from you then.
not at the moment. And like I said, I don't know. Like
So
there's always that possibility that the side effects could hit me, but that doesn't mean that it affects most people. And there are definitely mortality rates on those who have gotten the jab to those who haven't.
Mhm.
And again, the establishment and the corporate news media is handling it terribly. If they believe in what they believe and they think this is true evidence, the way they're handling it is really rotten and bad.
Yep, it's been terrible. It's been handled in the worst possible way. It's
And
it's miserable. Nobody's happy.
yeah,
Everybody is still on opposite sides. It hasn't brought anybody together. It's only separated people. There's a lot of rumor. I don't know. I don't know either. I haven't really looked at the statistics. I don't watch the news. I'm relying on people in my circle of friends, family, and this, that, and the other to keep help me form my opinion as we go along. It's hard to say what's wrong, what's right at this point. It's
well,
still, in my view, it's still an experimental medicine that they're just putting in people. There's no long-term studies or results, so um, I don't know. I don't know what to think of it, really.
my recommendation, if I were ever to recommend like CNN and the corporate news, would be number one, talk to the people, not at them. And
Yeah.
if you're going to have a guest that goes against the corporate narrative, talk to them, not at them. And you might just get your point across a lot better and more effective. And I'll end on that.
I think it's taken us a long time to be able to even have a conversation like this because I think we just kind of see things so differently in those respects. But we also have seen a um, whole lot of opinion and a whole
And,
lot of interesting things happen in the
and,
last year and a half.
and I recommend that those who are anti-jab talk to and with those that are pro-jab. I'm not, you doesn't mean you're going to agree, but this is, like I said, this is a pandemic. People are scared, and they're angry. And we have to come to a point where, because if we're just talking at one another, that's not, like, then we're doing, you're talking at somebody, pretty soon you're doing other things at people. If you talk to them and you talk with them, that's productive. Right now, what we're doing is not productive. And it's really it's really counterproductive what we're doing right now. Anyway, Joe, do you have anything to add before I end this show?
No, let's finish this thing up. Thanks for listening to Transparency and Merit.
Yeah. Like, subscribe, leave a comment down below, and thank you so much for listening.